What's up, gang? Welcome to Room and Board. My name is Chris George, and today we are taking a look at a review of Brew by Pandasaurus Games. And if you couldn't tell by how I said Brew, I'm excited to talk about it. The seasons are broken. All 4 seasons exist at once, and it's up to you, the cunning, cutest druids of the land, to tame the wild elements and bring balance back to the forest. It's a game of area control and dice placement, stealing chunks of forest from your fellow druids, and brewing so many potions that you can finally open up your own apothecary and get the heck out of this place. Because those seasons, they're out of whack. This is Brew. Now, in Brew, you're tasked with bringing balance to the forest. But I guess you're doing that in spite of all the other druids who want to do the same thing because you want to do it the best. Because all those other druids are garbage, and you're the only one who can save the land. The stakes, they're very high here. Okay, fine. There's some of that, but mostly you're just competing against these other druids to get the most victory points. You get points for every potion you brew, regardless if you use it or not. Every magical creature you tame, and every forest you hold the most control over. Now, the game takes place over 4 rounds, and in each round, different forests will be turned up that you compete over. Whoever has the most dice of their color on a forest at the end of the round gains control over that forest, and thus the victory points at the top of that forest. If you also have a corresponding creature who likes to exist in that specific season, at the end of the game, you'll get additional points for them as well. Because why wouldn't you? For making your sweet little pals happy. Now, at the beginning of one of these 4 rounds, you'll roll your 6 dice. 4 of your color and 2 elemental dice that don't count as your dice for forest majority. As soon as they're placed, being elements, they fade back into the wind from whence they came. And so on your turn, you can place one of these dice somewhere. It's usually going to be in a forest, matching a symbol in the forest with one of your dice and harvesting whatever resource is associated with that space. But there's also a village board where you can place your dice as well, if you think that's a better spot for whatever plans your sweet little druid has cooking. And this board changes from day to night every round because why wouldn't it? It's a magical forest. When are you going to realize this? So at first glance, this seems like a very simple game. You place dice, you get resources, you use those resources to make potions. Then use the abilities of those potions to place dice in a more efficient manner. Done. Game over. Game over, man! And in some respects, you're right. It is simple. Simple to learn and simple to teach. But it has such an incredible depth of strategy that makes me want to keep coming back to it more and more. Now, this is a cutthroat game. Don't let the art fool you. You want everyone to lose if you can't win. Tying someone in a forest and making sure they can't claim that forest as their own and get those points is equally as important as winning forests yourself. And this still holds true even at higher player counts. Usually with this type of game, I generally prefer it at 2 players because there's that head-to-head battle that you have complete control over. You don't have to worry about other people around the table all ganging up and messing with your plans. And also, you only have to worry about blocking 1 person instead of blocking 3. But with this, I also love it at the higher player counts because with it, your plans are never safe and there's always a chance for them to be foiled. And usually in sneaky, unexpected ways. There's a lot of ways to mitigate the dice rolling too. Even if you don't roll your dice exactly how you wanted, there are potions that allow you to re-roll, or you can place any dice in any space as long as you pay that resource instead of harvesting it for yourself. The fire elemental dice allow you to cover up another player's dice, effectively taking them out of that forest, only for them to use their wind dice to swap their dice out and then use that other one to gain control somewhere different. And a lot of the potion abilities work in the same way, swapping out different symbols that match, removing opponent's dies completely, removing elemental die, so that everything is continually in flux and everyone is continually in contention. And this is a level of tight, dynamic competition that I really was not expecting from a little dice game. Although to call it a dice rolling game doesn't do it justice. Worker placement and area control are much better descriptors as to how this game feels. Now, I was able to playtest this at its later stages, and after having played it once, I immediately thought, oh yeah, I need this for my collection. Now, it arrived to me in Canada a couple of weeks ago, and I have wanted to consistently be playing it. Because for me, it has just the right amount of variance as well. Each player has their own specific asymmetrical character power, which is usually used through the wild berry resource. Those resources are much harder to obtain, and all of these abilities feel powerful. Mila can win ties in a forest once per round, which is huge. Lalo, I call him Lilo. Lilo can place his die on top of other people's dice as if they were fire dice. Lyric can spend less on potions, and Ren can have more animal companions who all give you consistent permanent abilities. And playing each character feels fun and different. And since I pre-ordered this, I also got access to a special 4-card little promo expansion called the Companion Creatures, which are basically 4 additional creatures, 1 per player, and they add an additional special ability. They basically make it easier to get more stuff. And they're all pretty powerful, and they definitely help with the variability, but you do not need them by any means. So if you missed out on them and you're like, oh, I can't get Brew, I don't have the promo pack, you don't need them. Or if some kind soul were to happen to slip up and show you a picture of all of them, you could even just write down their abilities on a piece of paper and try them out for yourself and see if you wanted to add their abilities into every game you played. Who knows who would slip up revealing such secretive information though? I can't say. I can't say who would do that. Because their main purpose is just to help you get more stuff, and getting more stuff in these types of games always feels great. But if you do have them, you may eventually pair up Lilo and Sniff, as happened in one of our games, and you know, it just felt right. But again, you absolutely don't need them. I just wanted to let you know that they do in fact exist. I also want you to know that I exist. Please, I exist. Somebody find me! Now, components-wise, it's fine. The dice are fantastic. They're engraved. They feel great to roll and hold. The tokens are sturdy and they punched out well in my copy. The cardstock is a little flimsy. It's about the same thickness as Marvel United, if you're familiar. I mean, I found Marvel United's cards to be incredibly flimsy, and these feel slightly better, like 1 micron better, if we're getting specific. But I don't really mind them being that thin because you don't really have to shuffle them all the time. They're just a stack of cards that you're going to shuffle once at the beginning of the round and then you're done. If you happen to make your way through all the potions, then you will shuffle them again. But that happens, well, it depends how well everybody's doing on optimizing their resources. And also, I don't mind this quality because the price point is so good. I mean, you know me, or maybe you don't if this is the first time you're coming to this channel, in which case, hey. But I am cheap, and I'm always looking for a deal. And I can get this for $25 Canadian at 401 Games here in Toronto. This is an unbelievable price for the quality of game you're getting here. Miniature Market, although it now says it's out of stock, had it for $22 US. Since I playtested it and pre-ordered it, I got $10 off my purchase. So I actually got it for $20, and then I had to pay some shipping. So I paid about the same amount, but I got those extra little promo cards, so I'm happy about it. And I got to support Pandasaurus directly, which if this is the type of stuff that you guys are going to continue to put out, sign me up. I am thrilled. Pandasaurus has been putting out some bangers recently. So as you can tell, I am pretty high up on this game. I think it has a lot of staying power, but like anything, it may not be for everyone. If you don't like mean games, because this game can get very mean, you may want to shy away. It is Cutthroat. I've never played with people who were being mean for the sake of being mean, as you can get in some of these sort of take that games. But there will come opportunities, especially at higher player counts, where you have an opportunity to screw over one person and you have to do it. And usually you'll make the choice as to what benefits you the most rather than trying to take out that leader. Or if they're equal, then you go towards whoever seems to be in the lead at that point, right? It just makes sense with these sorts of games. But this is a game about actively taking points away from someone else to get them yourself. And if you don't like that style of game, this is not going to change your mind. It's not going to make you like that style of game. It is that style of game, and I think it's fantastic, but it may not be for you if you don't like those cutthroat games. I played this with a lot of people who don't like games where people can interfere with their plans and prefer to just do their own sort of thing. And they were just, meh, it was okay. Because they ultimately didn't like that degree of cutthroatness. And this is also a game where some of the combinations can feel too powerful. And this is something that I hesitate to say because I don't actually believe this statement most of the time. I think usually it's people who are bad at losing who think that the other thing was better when really they just didn't use their power effectively enough. But I do know that in one of my first games, I stumbled upon a really powerful combo, which allowed me to get a bunch of resources every time I visited a forest with 2 specific seasons invested in it, because the forest can, as you've seen, can have 2 seasons associated with them. And lucky for me, quite a few of those forests came up, and I was able to access quite a few of them. So it's not necessarily that this combo was too powerful, it was that my other opponents didn't stop me until it was too late. And that comes from experience, like in any game, but for some people, that distinction may not be enough, and you'll feel like, well, runaway leader, no chance of catching up. There is, you just have to really apply yourself. I'm just trying to look at negatives here to cool my own enthusiasm because I want to make sure that if you pick this up, well, that you'll enjoy it. Honestly, my biggest pet peeve about this game is the insert. This horrendous abomination. Because while everything else is a hit across the board, this has got to have one of the dumbest inserts that I've ever seen. I took a picture of it before I hacked it to bits to make it better. But just look at that stupid clover in the middle of it. This is supposedly to hold all of your tokens. And there are 6 types and only 4 spots in one middle, and they all have holes in them. So everything can just move around and mix together. And now Pandasaurus have even come forward and saying like, oh hey, in the first printing we forgot to throw in the bags needed, like we were gonna throw some bags in for your tokens. But still, there's 6 tokens. Where are you putting the bags? If you thought they were going in bags, why are there these 4 sections? Is it for the dice? They're too big. Why is it like a clover? Why is there a hole in the middle of it? This is the most pointless insert I have ever seen. Maybe not ever. I'm slightly hyperbolizing. But it makes me an incredibly reasonable amount of angry at how dumb it really is. So just do yourself a favor, hack it away to bits, and just put it in your own plastic organizer yourself. That actually gets the job done, and your game will be much better for it. Oh, it's so dumb. And this is after you produce one of the nicest boxes I've ever seen, with 4 different colors on the side. So you can choose which way on your shelf to orient it for those who like to organize by color. A wonderfully sized box as well that isn't over bloated, just so you can sell it for more. It's great. Just that insert though. Oof. It is a wonderful, thoughtful design, but the insert does not have any of that. But all that aside, let me say that the bottom line is this. Beautiful and calming art aside, Brew is a tense, cutthroat, and incredibly satisfying area majority control game that should not be missed. And at this price point, it's honestly a game that I believe everyone should go out and buy right now. It's fantastic. And for those reasons, gets the Room and Board Seal of Distinction. Or does it get the buzzer? Still Seal of Distinction for me. It almost got me to push this Best of the Year buzzer. I only have 2 left in the year, and there's only a couple months remaining. Maybe I won't push them. Why it doesn't get that extra step is because it doesn't change people's mind on Cutthroat games if they don't like them. Silly distinction. But yeah, it's great. I personally like it more than I think everybody who's played it with me, but I'm the one making this video, so Seal of Distinction it is. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this review, consider hitting the like or the subscribe button. It really does help a lot. And we're pretty close at surpassing the subscriber count for the 24-hour live YouTube channel, Auntie Carol Cooks Her Turkey. So it'd be really nice to be able to get over that hurdle. It's a milestone for any YouTuber to surpass. Once again, my name is Chris George. I don't have a catchphrase, but thanks for tuning in to this Brew